take a road trip with me into South Africa from Gaborone, Botswana. So from Gaborone to the border to South Africa, it's just 20 minutes away. You can get there earlier than 20 minutes, but safely, let's just put it at 20 minutes. So come along with me. So the bus that I'm using is a time bus. It was slotted to start off at 6 a.m. So the advice to say you can come just 15 minutes before the time to start off. And yeah, it was a time bus for sure. At 6 hours exactly, we started off. So as I earlier stated that it's just 20 minutes away from Gaborone to the border. And then one thing again, it's not a one border post like the one that we entered through Kazungula, which is Zambia and Botswana, where everything happens in the same building. You just switch the sides where you do your stamps and do your visa processing. But in the case between Botswana and South Africa, it's separate locations. Price of this particular ticket from Gaborone to Johannesburg, South Africa was 500 pula at the time of this recording. So it's 500 pula from Gaborone to Johannesburg, South Africa. Obviously, there are cheaper versions of this, but my host in Botswana advised to say I use this particular bus because it stops at OR Tambo Airport as opposed to Park Station. He says it was safer for me to disembark from OR Tambo Airport than going to Park Station. And when people that live in an area advise you, you have to heed the advice. It made more sense because the guy had also lived in South Africa for a while. In fact, he's got a permanent residence even now. You should have seen the videos that I did with him and his wife, my host in Botswana. So yeah, so he had lived in South Africa for a long time. So he gave me certain heads up and advice on how to go about it. So he said, nah, do not use the ordinary buses that will take you to Park Station. Best to use this particular mode of transport. So I paid. Once we got to at the border, we had to obviously exit, get our passports stamped from the Botswanan side, meaning we're exiting the country, and walk to the other side, the South African side. Boy, was it cold this day. I know one thing that I didn't anticipate was the coldness that I would experience in Botswana, because I was anticipating that Botswana would have the same temperature as Namibia, considering they both have deserts. We've got the Namib Desert in Namibia and then the Sahara Desert in Botswana. So my assumption was the weather won't be that different from between the two countries, but boy was I wrong. It was cold on this day. But anyway, we walked from the Botswanan side after we were getting stamped. Then we had to go and get our visas on the other side, the South African side. But boy, was it cold this day. Goodness me, -1. Yo, Botswana. I did not expect that. But anyway, we walked it through and then going to the South African side. Yep. So once we got to the South African side, it was time for me to experience the visa-free arrangement that Zambia has with South Africa. Now South Africa has a number of countries that it has added to its visa-free arrangement. So once I got there, the immigration officer asked me how many days I was going to be in the country for. I said 90 days, just standard operation. And he stamped in the 90 days. And I was given those 90 days that you see on those papers right there. So the exit day was 10th July, as you see there. Then we entered South Africa, then given 90 days in the country, which is pretty much 3 months. So it wasn't different from the experience that I had when entering in Botswana. They simply ask you how many days you'll be around for, and they stamp it in. Straightforward, nothing complicated. So once the passport process was done and everything was wrapped up, we had to get back on the bus, and then now begin the real journey from the border town to Johannesburg, South Africa. So we started off at 6, as you know, time bus. Immediately at 6 we started off, and we are slated to be in Johannesburg at 12 p.m., which is 12 hours, what we call 12 hours in Zambia. That's the time we were slated. So it was a 6-hour journey, ideally. Once the immigration process was done, it was time to relax and enjoy the journey and enjoy the views, the landscape between the two countries. We were offered some coffee or tea, whichever you preferred on the journey, and I took coffee and yeah, sat back and enjoyed the journey. On some coffee and cookie that we were offered on the bus, And then later on, we were also given the option of some water and groundnuts and pretty much just cool breezes. My mind was ready now to say if Botswana could be this cold, obviously I was expecting worse cold weather in South Africa. But once I entered the country, I was surprised it wasn't as cold as it was in Botswana. So I don't know what that is all about. But anyway, because I've been to South Africa before, so I was expecting, if Botswana could be that cold, what of South Africa? But that wasn't the case, surprisingly. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. So once we got at OR Tambo Airport, the first priority obviously was to get a SIM card because my Botswanan SIM card was no longer working. I was offline at this point, and I was relying on the Wi-Fi that was being provided on the bus itself. So that was the experience. But once we disembarked, I had to dash into the airport to get a new South African SIM card, so I could be able to book myself some form of transport and get to where I'll be staying while it's here. So let's experience South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. What's going on? Let's go.